が 前世梦，我所救满足，已有如吉波，日安世之期，天候恩福年，一世解放ぞ。法世功徳法上王大集中説法施施空空より祭仏無足種特法元年心上満得意三愛を女文無下地自然未不詳願学営利投資最小尊志願や国家大戦の感動国書天人統治名家Will you all please join me in Gasho? How joyous I am, Gutoku Shinran, disciple of Shakyamuni, Rare is it to come upon the sacred scriptures from the westward land of India and the commentaries of the masters of China and Japan. But now I have been able to encounter them. Rare is it to hear them, but already I have been able to hear, reverently entrusting myself to the teaching, practice, and realization that are the true essence of the Pure Land Way. I am especially aware of the profundity of the Tathagata's benevolence. Here I rejoice in what I have heard and extol what I have attained. Nam Mandats, Nam Mandats, Nam Mandats, Nam Mandats. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to my first Sunday YouTube service at the Tacoma Buddhist Temple. I would first like to open by saying thank you so much to the Tacoma Buddhist Temple members, the board members, for welcoming both myself and Cindy here with open arms during this time of the pandemic. I was able to meet many of you, the board members, when we first arrived. We were all, of course, very careful and social distance, but regardless, Cindy and I would like to thank all of you for bringing us over all of the food and sharing with us your expertise on the area. A special thank you to Fred and Les for taking us on a quick tour downtown to show us where all the local hotspots are, well, when they open up again, hopefully, or well, when they're back in full swing of things. I would like to also extend a large thank you to Reverend Dr. Takashi Miyagi for assisting me greatly in preparing me for my transfer here and for showing me through videos, actually, through video tutorials on where all the light switches are, how to work the soundboard. It was very, very kind of you to do that, and once again, thank you, Reverend Dr. Takashi Miyagi. And then, of course, last but certainly not least, I would like to thank Bishop Marvin Harada for this wonderful opportunity and for assigning me to the Tacoma Buddhist Temple. I really am excited to begin this journey with you all, and I certainly hope that we will be able to have plenty of opportunities in the future, in the not too distant future, hopefully, to meet in person and to be able to share in the Dharma, be able to sit together, to laugh together, to eat dinner together, and basically to say the Nembutsu all in person together. So I'd like to begin my Dharma talk with talking about the opening Gosandai, or the quote that I chose today. The quote is from the beginning of Shindan Shonin's Kyokyo Shinsho. So for those of you who probably have, I'm assuming most members throughout the BCA have this book, the Collected Works of Shinran. It can be found on page, after all of the initial, the introduction, it can be found on page 4, which is the end of the preface of the Kyokyo Shinsho. So the first part I'd like to address in this particular Gosandai is the beginning part of the quote when Shinran addresses himself. First off, as you could probably tell by the quote, Shinran is immensely grateful to have been born in a time, or to have been born in the circumstances that allowed him to encounter the Pure Land Path, or the Nembutsu teaching, especially from his master Honen, or Genku Shonin. And he refers to himself as Gutoku Shindan, right? And so I'm certain that at some point, Reverend Dr. Takashi Miyagi or Reverend Kakihara before me has talked about what Gutoku Shindan really means, or what it actually means. So when he refers to himself as Gutoku Shindan, Gutoku, Gu means foolish, and Toku means stubble-headed. So he calls himself a stubble-headed, almost like a stubble-headed fool. And which is interesting because if you read through the Kyokyo Shinsho, you notice that that Shinran Shonin is not an idiot. He's not stupid. He has this immense grasp of many of the Mahayana sutras in Buddhism, and he recalls these quotes and quotes them just out of his own head. And he basically, this is his dissertation or his magnum opus that really solidifies the defense of the teaching of the Pure Land Way. So when you read this, you realize Shinran Shonin is very, very smart. So why does he refer to himself as this stubble-headed fool? Why does he refer to himself as this fool? Well, just because Shinran was intelligent, just because he probably accomplished amazing feats on Mount Hiei, or during his time as a monk on the Mount Hiei. People probably know about this part of the story already. He still could not find himself to be enlightened. He still could not find himself to be free from his what we call blind passions. I know that this translation has some problems, so I probably won't use the word blind passions too much, but he has these base passions, these clingings that he can't get rid of, right? Despite training on Mount Hiei, despite studying for 20 years, he still had these hang-ups. So what else could he do? And finally, when he encountered Honen Shonin, he received this beautiful teaching of relying solely upon Amida Buddha, relying solely upon the teaching or the wisdom and compassion of Amida Buddha. And so this, I think, Shinran also highlights what it means to be tethered by the human condition. Okay, so one of the examples that I'll bring up here actually is a personal one, and it actually has to do with the drive up here from California to Washington. So in order to get, for those of you, I mean, I'm certain that everyone here on the West Coast is aware of this, but if you don't know, in order to get to Washington from California, you have to go through Oregon, okay? And so in Oregon, the rules about gassing up your car are a little bit different than California and Washington. I don't know if it's like this in the other states of the United States, but as far as I know, Oregon, I think, might be the only one who does this, but anyways, in Oregon, it's state law that you are not allowed to pump your own gas. So when you stop at the gas station, you have to wait for the attendant to greet you, and you give them the money or your credit card to gas up your car, and they will do it for you. So that's state law in Oregon. So if you're ever traveling in Oregon, please remember to not, when you drive up to the gas station, not to get out of your car and wait for the attendant to greet you, and they will pump the gas for you. So why do I bring this up as an example? Because I was reminded about this fact constantly by friends in California, friends from Oregon, and even on the day that I was leaving, or that Cindy and I were leaving from California, Reverend Subahara texted me and said, "Okay, don't forget that in Portland you're not allowed to pump your own gas, so don't get out of your car," right? And so I had this in my head, right? Like it was repeated to me, and I remembered it, and I was just like, okay. And I kind of got this overconfidence sort of feeling within myself, like, okay, so I know this now. So when I got to one of the gas stations in Oregon, I knew that, I was not supposed to get out of my car, right? I wasn't supposed to get out of my car, take out my credit card and put it in the machine or fiddle with it. I didn't really have to do anything, right? So I drive up, and this really nice woman, an attendant who came to greet me, looked at me, and she smiles and she waves and she says, "Hello, sir. Would you like it filled up today?" And I said, "Yes, please." And I handed her my credit card, and everything was good. And then she just kind of stood there. She kind of stood there, sort of looking at me. And in my head, I was sort of like, okay, well, I didn't get out of my car. I didn't realize I was supposed to do anything else. I didn't get out of my car. I thought you were supposed to, gas up the car for me. So this is going on in my head, and then finally she kind of like smiles at me, and then she goes, "Sir, would you mind turning off your engine, please?" And so I realized in all that time, when I drove up to the pump and I was thinking in my head that was very arrogant, actually, very egocentric. Just I'm not going to be this dumb Californian or this dumb out-of-state person who doesn't know not to get out of the car. I'm going to sit in my car. Haha! Look at how educated. Look at how great I am, right? And this is all going on inside my head. And then the entire time I'm doing that or thinking that, I forget to turn off the engine, which is the thing that you're supposed to do anyway when you gas up your car. So, so again, this was a funny experience, and again, I just sort of face-palmed to myself like, oh man, I thought I was prepared for this. I thought it was like I wasn't going to be like this stupid out-of-stater, but yet I still messed up, right? I still messed up. I couldn't, I was very, I was caught up within myself, right? And this is what Shimon's talking about when he refers to himself as Gutoku. He had all this knowledge, all this practice, and yet he's still plagued by his own ego. We're still plagued by our own ego. This is the human condition. Now, I'd like to then return to my attention to the gas attendant. I don't even know her name, but here's the interesting thing. She did it when I didn't turn off my engine. She just kind of very compassionately smiled at me. There wasn't any malice in it. There wasn't any teasing in it, really. I'm certain she has encountered this several times before, right? I'm certain she has encountered every type of wrong thing to do when you go to the gas station in Oregon. She's probably seen it all, and I was no different. I was no different. I did everything right, except I didn't turn off the car. So she didn't get mad. She didn't yell at me. She didn't roll her eyes. We do this a lot, right? When we're driving. I think when we get in our cars, we tend to become a little bit worse. We might become slightly worse human beings, right? We get in this car and then someone does something that we don't like, or they kind of cut in front of us. We get mad, right? Like I get mad in traffic. I mean, I hate traffic, right? And so because I think the world revolves around me. I get in this car, it's my world. I think the world revolves around me, and and I get really upset. I have no patience in the car. So, and unfortunately, Cindy is all too familiar with this, and so she has to calm me down all the time. But this gas attendant, she didn't lose her patience with me. She just smiled and said, "Oh, sir, would you mind turning off the car?" Right? And that's all she did. And to me, this is a mundane, yet I think a very good example of how, of the kind of compassion tenfold we receive from Amida Buddha. Right? So that's we come back to Amida Buddha's wisdom and compassion. Once again, we are these foolish beings in this world of modernity. I think now, in a sense, we have achieved technological advancements that have never been done before, right? That have never been seen. We are so far from the age of Shinran now, where I can record these videos, I can record a lot of these, I can record these videos, I can post them on YouTube, we can do Zoom services, right? Who knew that we would be able to do such amazing things on the computer? And yet, I am still plagued by the human condition, right? That hasn't stopped. My arrogance is still there. My ego is still there. We have all of these technological advancements. We have GPSs on our car that can tell us everywhere we can go. And yet, I am still plagued by this arrogance, by this ego, by this I'm better than you feeling, right? And I have this egocentric mind. And because I am myself, because I am that being, I am a Bonbu, I cannot hope to achieve enlightenment on my own. Right? I cannot hope to free myself of these passions, of these clingings to this world. And so therefore, I must rely fully on Amida Buddha, on the wisdom and compassion from the Pure Land. And that is the wisdom and compassion of Amida Buddha implies that it is unceasing, it never ends. Okay? So because I am so caught up with myself, Amida Buddha is there for me. So I would like us all to continue reciting the Nembutsu and realize this, during this time. So once again, I would like to thank you all for listening to my first YouTube service. I know it's a little shaky. I am in need of practice of continuing my Dharma talks. But once again, thank you all so much for bearing with me and putting up with me. And I am very sorry and sad that I cannot see many of you here in the Hondo. I'm certain many of you will watch the YouTube videos, but I prefer a live audience. I prefer a live audience to greet you all and to see you all and meet you all. And can't shake hands yet, but hopefully we can see each other soon. It won't be that much longer before we can open up the temple, hopefully, but we must all still err on the side of caution. So until that time, everyone please keep practicing social distance. When you go out, please wear a mask. Wash your hands after you go to the grocery store or essential places. Use hand sanitizer. Do all of these things that are required in order to keep us healthy and to keep us safe. So once again, I'd like to thank you all for joining me today for my first YouTube Sunday service, and I certainly hope that we will be able to see each other again in person. So would you all please join me in Gassho and let us recite the Nembutsu in gratitude to Amida Buddha. Namandats, 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 namandats. To conclude today's service, I'd like to recite one of the Gobunsho, or letters, from Renmyo Shonin, our 8th Monshu of Jodo Shinshu Honganji Ha. Shinran Shonin taught that the essence of Jodo Shinshu is Shinji. The reason is that by abandoning all other practices and completely entrusting ourselves in Amida Buddha, our spiritual rebirth is assured by Amida through the inconceivable power of the primal vow. This is known as entering the ranks of the truly assured at the very moment of Shinji. Therefore, all utterances of the Nembutsu should be understood only as expressions of gratitude for Amida's assurance of our spiritual rebirth. With reverence, I remain. I would now like to read the Gobunsho in Japanese. Shonin Nichiryū no Gokanke no Omomuki wa Shinjin no motte honto serare soro. Sono yue wa moro moro no zōgyō o nagesutete isshin ni mida ni kimyō sureba. Fukashi ni no gan ni kito